Hey everybody, Alex here with Fairfield Beach Realty. So I decided to take on a new project, very excited about it. What I'm going to be doing on a monthly basis is providing analysis on new construction for builders across Fairfield County. This data is Fairfield County only, but also excluding Greenwich, because Greenwich tends to behave on its own. It doesn't really follow the rest of the county's ups and downs. It sort of moves in whatever direction it wants to go in. Aside from that, this data comes directly from the MLS, which means if you are a real estate agent, please, 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 if you sell something off market, file it with the MLS anyway, just so we can get that comparison data in place. That way, my data is more comprehensive when I share it with the county. All right, well, without further ado, let's start with the October 2025 Builders Report. So first thing we should talk about is the fact that in Fairfield County, we don't have enough new construction sales happening every month for that number to be statistically relevant. What I mean by that is if I try to show you monthly data, it will look very scattered and erratic. As one month to the next, maybe we have a huge shift in the number of bedrooms on average we are building, and that's only because one month we sold 3 extra 6-bedroom homes, and the following 3 months we didn't sell any. In order to get around this, I have a solution. What I will be presenting to you will always be 12-month sums. In other words, this bar right here represents the data for 12 months ending at the end of October, October 31st. Likewise, this represents the 12 months ending September, August, July, so on and so forth. What are we looking at here? We are looking at the number of builds that were initially listed on the MLS in the white line. And what I mean by that is there are many homes that are either listed before they're finished as new construction. So they're listed pre-build, mid-build, etc. And some of those get relisted multiple times. And that's why, even though you can see we've had, right around 300, maybe down around 200 at the low point, and we're back up to sort of upper twos in terms of number of builds which are introduced to the market for the first time, the number of actual listings we have is significantly higher than that. And that's because of the relists of other listings that hadn't sold. Speaking of sales, what you can see down here at the bottom of the chart is the actual compilation of the 12-month sales achieved by the end of that month. So in October, we sold exactly 201 homes, new construction homes across Fairfield County in the 12 months leading up to it. So give or take just a little under 20 a month as a pace. You can see that that pace is significantly less than it used to be. We were definitely over 20 a month back at the end of COVID, and it's been ramping down. We have not been selling as many. You can also see the changing in competitiveness of the homes. Over ask is in gold, ask is in white, and then the gray is under ask. And that is under the current ask at the time of the offer being made, not the original list price. So over time, we can see that like the number of homes selling at ask has actually oddly enough stayed about the same. It's really been the over ask that's seen the biggest reduction. But more importantly, the trend that I want to call out here is the fact that we were building, give or take, about the same number of homes each 12 months that we were selling in those 12 months, right? We maybe overbuilt a little bit here, but we've sort of figured it out as the market cooled, builders started introducing fewer homes. Well, since the start of this year, we've been seeing an increase in new construction inventory getting introduced to the market, but we have not seen buyers react to it much at all. This is the first time we've touched 200 homes sold in a 12-month period since all the way back here in September of last year. So maybe we're on an uptick now, but certainly there's a danger here that our inventory is starting to get a little over its skis, if you know what I mean. Moving on from here, the next question would obviously be, what are we introducing to the market? And here is the breakdown. Over the past 2 years, we have been introducing a higher percentage of 2 bedrooms over time. Two bedrooms now represent about 12% of the new inventory being introduced. Three bedrooms represent about 9.6, so right around 10, but here's the predominance, and I'm sure this doesn't shock anyone. Four-bedroom homes are the predominance of what we are introducing to the market in terms of new inventory. Four-bedroom represents about 35%. And then from there, six bedrooms are at about 15% up at top and 21% for the five. There are, a couple of percentage points of larger homes than six bedrooms being introduced every year. What's interesting about comparing that to what is actually selling, we see an odd trend here. So, first off, two bedrooms, we're introducing more of them, and in fact, we're selling more of them. We are selling quite a few two bedrooms. About 10% of what's being sold are these two bedroom new construction homes. I found that quite surprising. And we were selling, good gracious, quite a bit of three bedrooms, but it is dying out. It has started dying out, maybe midway through last year. And it's really, really small now. We're only selling about 5.5% of what's being sold is three bedrooms. So that's a discrepancy, right? If we're introducing 10% of our new stock as three bedrooms, but only 5% of the available stock is being sold as three bedrooms, maybe we're over introducing three bedrooms. Four bedrooms, pardon me, we're right on target. About 35% of what we introduce, four bedrooms, 37% of what we sell are four bedrooms. So right where we belong. Interestingly, five bedrooms and six bedrooms are both about 5% underrepresented in our new stock. We are introducing, for five bedrooms about 21%. We are selling about 25%. So the available five bedroom stock is slowly dwindling as buyers are buying more of it than we are bringing back to the market. And the same is true with the six bedrooms. I do find this odd, though, that two bedrooms are somehow outselling three bedrooms. I would have thought, based on utility, that two bedrooms would be less desirable than three bedrooms. And so I did a little digging. This chart shows you the average square footage of homes introduced to market for each bedroom count. And what's interesting to note is originally, two bedrooms were smaller than three bedrooms, no shock. Smaller than four bedrooms, no shock. Five, and then six at the top. Over time, six bedroom homes have actually grown in size. They used to be just slightly under 6,000 square feet. We're now introducing like 6,200 square foot homes to market on average with six bedrooms in it. Five bedrooms have more or less stayed the same and shrunk, but here's what's really clever. Look at what we've done to ourselves. We have increased the size of two bedroom homes from under 2,000 square feet, give or take in here, we're at like 16 to 18. We're now at 2,200. And why that's important is because that's the same size as three bedroom homes. We are selling more two bedroom homes than three bedrooms. In fact, this past 12 months, we sold 19 two bedrooms and only 11 three bedrooms. They were the same size, but the two bedrooms sold for $100,000 less. So builders out there, when you're doing this, think about it. You are incurring the same amount of cost. There's no real additional cost to building a third bedroom or leaving it as a two bedroom in a 2,200 square foot home. But my goodness, you're selling it for $100,000 less for the same build. This is why I think buyers are showing a preference to that two bedroom home. When we look at the sales, buyers are buying the two bedrooms more. That's $100,000 less for the same size home. So this is the last piece of information I want to give to you guys today. These are the same two chart lines that we looked at earlier. This is the 12-month list line and the 12-month sales line. So if we go back to it, I'll just remind you, it's the top of the bar chart here, the number of sales that we had each 12-month period, and the red line on top of that, right? So we're looking at those two lines right here. And the discrepancy is in some ways wasted effort, right? Wasted manpower and all the rest of that. We would really like to have one sale per listing. The other concern that I brought out already is the fact that we are increasing our listings, but we're not getting an increase in sales. Looking at effort, this is the blue line representing the number of listings that were posted to the MLS before construction was complete. So you can see well over 50% of all homes listed, all new construction homes listed, pardon me, in this 12-month period were listed before you could actually walk through the home. It is still the case that well over 50% are being listed pre-completion of the build. However, down here, this is the number of those that were sold before the build was complete. And you can see that at one point, it was actually pretty effective. About 60% of the homes that were listed pre-construction or pre-construction completion ended up selling. But we've really dropped to about 50% of that. And now we're even dragging a little under 50% because as we've increased the number of listings pre-construction completion, the number of sales hasn't fully tracked. It's not moving at the same rate upward. And so this is something to think about. Maybe instead of spending money on 3D renderings, you pocket that money to use for staging once the home is complete. And part of the reason why I think you might want to consider doing that is this final line. This is the number of homes that sold in that same 12-month period that closed at less than the original listing ask price. So not just the ones that had a price reduction advertised on the MLS, but anything that closed below the original ask. And what you can see is it was a significantly smaller number than the gold line back at the end of COVID. And slowly but surely, those two have come together to the point where we have sold in the past 12 months 201 homes. And of those 201 new construction homes, 190 of them were sold for less than the original ask. If you sold one of those 11, congratulations to one of my clients, Miguel, you did. If you sold one of those 11, you are in the very, very minority right now. So this is a line that we are going to have to watch moving forward. The number of price cuts that have been required in order to sell our new construction is at certainly a 2-year high. All right. If there's anything more that I can do to answer questions, please feel free to reach out. I am here. I am here to help and to help empower our market to be as efficient and as successful for everyone involved as possible. So if there's any specific data you would like, reach out to me. Let's grab a coffee. We can chat. All right. Have a great month.